Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of GitOps Happy Hour. I am Chris Short, Principal Technical Marketing Manager here at Red Hat. I'm joined by my fellow Principal Technical Marketing Manager, or are you Senior Principal? I forget what you are now, dude. My bad. Joined by my fellow coworker, Christian Hernandez, the GitOps Extraordinaire. Welcome to OpenShift TV. Today we're going to be talking about operators in a GitOps world. So Christian, let's tell everybody what that means.
Yeah. Let's tell everyone. Yeah. So, by the way, thank you everyone for last time. We had a good session. GitOps Happy Hours, a special KubeCon edition. Um, we got a lot of good feedback. Right, it's nice to get all the talking heads, the thinking minds behind what GitOps is going to be at Red Hat. So. That was really cool. So if you haven't caught that, go ahead and go to the YouTube channel, right? You can see all previous streams there.
Yep.
And so today we're kind of talking about operators. This kind of topic came up in my head here because anytime I talk to anyone about just cloud native architecture and just in general, there's just so many automation tools, right? There are tools, they're like especially when you talk about operators and OpenShift, because it's like, well, like, why do I need operators? I have Helm, and it's like, well, why do I need operators if I'm using GitOps to trigger the automation? It's just there's this whole
Right.
I don't say there's like Venn diagrams, right? Like it's a multi-dimensional.
It's a Venn diagram that looks like a star. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a Venn diagram that it's like you can use like a little bit of everything. And how does that all fit in, right? So, oh, and by the way, Chris, I know, Chris, you're drinking an IPA. I'm having wine because being from California.
Good point. Yeah, I'm actually drinking Cigar City Brewing from my favorite brewery in Florida. It's finally up here in Michigan, so I was stoked when I saw it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's always nice when you can just get it like locally instead of
having
to drive to Florida.
Yeah. I ain't driving to Florida no more.
Yeah,
well, a long drive now.
Yeah, that's a long drive. Yeah. There were some breweries in Milwaukee that I really, really liked. And I was like, back when we can travel, that I'm like, man, I wish they had some of this stuff here in LA. But anyway, back to the topic at hand, right? I just kind of want to say we're the happy hour here. We talk a lot about GitOps and how GitOps in terms of like no, not like Miller.
No, not Miller.
Nothing like Miller. Not Miller. Right? Here in LA, I'm a faux hipster, so no, only microbreweries. GitOps by pull request and all that, how Argo and a lot of your sync tools, ACM, Flux, does a lot of the automation for you, right? So, but then we have operators, and if you've been around the Red Hat ecosystem or been around OpenShift a while, all we do is talk about operators, right? So I think it would be a good time to talk about how operators fits in the overall GitOps architecture, right? So I do have a presentation, so let me share my screen here. I'm not gonna kill you guys. Oops, let me not.
Can I slide us to death?
Yeah, I don't want to slide you to death. I think in the is it desktop 3 or desktop 2? What's weird is like I have like 1, 2, 3, but like on Linux it's 1, 3, 2. Like it's really weird. But anyway.
Oh, so it's a funny story. Like you might notice if you haven't watched the show recently, there's no flags behind me. So when I move my desk up here, like I wanted to rearrange some things, right? I wanted to put the tall monitor on the right-hand side. I wanted the laptop on the left-hand side. And it completely freaked out. This monitor was turned like a 90-degree view. This monitor was normal. So it was like, I had to like scroll, and everything was out of order. So like just getting it back to normal took like, like 9 or 10 tries. So it was ridiculous. It's like, this shouldn't be this hard.
Well, I just given up. Like I just let Linux do whatever it's thing, and it's like, okay, my monitor 1 is 2, monitor 2 is 3, and I don't know. It's
Yeah, I just keep
so I
one
just
monitor
judge
on
by
my
what you
Linux
see.
boxes. There's a reason for that.
make it easy.
Multiple
right?
desktops, but one monitor.
One monitor, yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
I should do that here. So you guys see the presentation, right?
Yes.
Am I presenting the right thing? All right, cool. So I'm gonna kind of talk about operators from an overview, right? So I know you guys hopped on to talk about GitOps, but first I think we need to talk about operators, right? And what operators are and what they provide, right? So if you've ever been to any of these streams or talked to anyone at Red Hat, this shouldn't be new to you because all we do is talk about operators, right? So the idea behind the operators, right, is like you want a cloud-like experience everywhere, right? So what does that actually mean, right? So operator and the operator framework is a a way to codify operational knowledge, right? We call it an operator because the idea is operational knowledge. We want to codify that, right? And what does that, what does that actually mean? And I think Andrew, right? By the way, if any of you haven't caught Andrew's OpenShift for Administrators Office Hours, I'll highly recommend that, especially if you're an admin.
If you need help, great show as well.
If you need help, great show, right? So, but I think Andrew kind of described it. He described it on his show as well, very perfectly, right? As an admin, right, or as a DevOps person, right? Let's take a simple use case. If you spin up a MySQL database, right? If you're doing that over and over and over and over again, right? You essentially do the same steps all the time. Specific for your environment, right? Like it's not the same steps for everyone, but it's just for specific for your environment. You perform the same steps over and over and over and over again, right? So, and a lot of the ways people have already codified that, right? So we have Ansible, right? I think Ansible has a very large ecosystem that
massive.
They actually built a company around that before Red Hat acquired them. And so, a lot of that stuff's already codified. So we want to kind of bring that in a Kubernetes native way, right? So we've already codified. I think people say operators codified operational knowledge. I think people have already done that, and I think companies have already done that. I mean, for a while now, right? Like even before Ansible existed, I did things with Puppet and Chef to codify a lot of this operational knowledge, right? And even before then, people would just fire off. I remember doing Solaris administration, right? It's just nothing but a bunch of shell scripts running in SSH. Right. So like we've already kind of done that, right? So we kind of took that idea and put it in a Kubernetes native way, right? And it really is to deliver applications, automate workflows, and to really provide a SaaS-like experience for end users, right? So, so really, it's you take the knowledge of operators in that like people, right? So like an actual either an SRE, either DevOps engineer, admin guy, they know how to set something up, right? You embed that knowledge, you take that knowledge, and you put it in what we call an operator. And an operator, and I'll go over it a little bit, is a Kubernetes native way, right? We took the principles of custom resource definitions and put a controller behind it to actually do something, right? So we embed the knowledge in operator. An operator, all it does, it manages, deploys, and automatically things like deployments, stateful sets, secrets, config maps, anything you want to be able to codify, you can inside an operator, right? Yep. And so really what are the capabilities, right, for, in the SDK, right? So we have an SDK in order, in order to easily build operators, right? So like,
and this is a CNCF project now, by the way.
Yes, by the way, the operator framework is actually in the sandbox, I believe. They just got into sandbox. They got into sandbox, so it's a CNCF project now.
Right.
So like everything Red Hat does, we like to continuously donate things to the open source community. So we have Helm, right? So if you're already having Helm charts, put that in an operator.
Yep.
You're good to go. Ansible, right? So for you admins, right? So you admins hold a special place in my heart because I was the former admin in SRE, so it's I understand the pain. Your Ansible scripts, if you're already using Ansible, you're gonna fit right in, right? So I've written a ton of Ansible operators, right? So if I can do it, it's not hard, right? So I don't think it's hard, right? So like if I can, if I I just took my Ansible scripts, I put them in operator and minor tweaking and they just work, right? So it's very, very extensible. And then for anything else, you just have Golang, right? So that's kind of like the catch-all, I would say.
Agreed.
I think if you can do it in Go, you pretty much do it anywhere, right? So like I said before,
we did a whole thing on this once, didn't we? Like Ansible operators in general, I feel like.
I think, yeah. You probably have a stream. If we haven't done a stream about it, we probably need to get the Ansible team on and talk about
an Ansible operator from scratch. Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, yeah. Me and Jason did it, right?
Yeah.
We did a Ansible operator from scratch. So,
and then I did a workshop, several workshops now on creating.
Well, you were on the Ansible team, so if anyone would know about
that was part of the draw, right? They knew they were working on Ansible operators. They knew I knew a lot about Kubernetes, so it was like, we need to hire Chris.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we need that guy. Yeah.
The one, like the Venn diagram of Ansible and Kubernetes, like world was like only a handful of people at the time. A couple years ago.
Exactly. It was like a couple years ago, it was like 3 people, and you were one of the 3. It was like literally something like that. So operators, essentially, like I said before, is nothing special, right? So if you are in the Kubernetes world, cloud native world, there's something called a custom resource definition, right? So very high level, right? So we can actually talk the whole hour about just CRDs, right? But custom resource definitions essentially extends the Kubernetes API, right? So when you do something like kubectl get pods, that pod is an actual object. You can actually extend that API so you can do kubectl get barf, right?
Yeah.
Since we were talking about Spaceballs earlier on the chat.
Why not?
The do kubectl get barf, and you can have the Kubernetes API understand that, right? You can say, same thing as a pod. So that's what a custom resource is. So you can do things like, in this example, get etcd cluster, right? What an operator does is, you can have a custom resource and a custom resource definition, but the Kubernetes doesn't actually do anything with it unless you have a controller, right? And that's what kind of like what the operators is that an actual controller. I would say a controller on steroids, right? It watches the events, it does a reconciliation, it does XYZ, everything it needs to do, whatever you codified in it, right? And then the operator then modifies and manages the Kubernetes native resources, right? So again, deployments, stateful sets, autoscalers. There's nothing special about them other than what you've written in the actual operator or what the ISV writes in there. There's we're trying to build an entire ecosystem around operators, right? And trying to get our ISVs and third-party vendors to be able to write operators, so that way you can use it in your OpenShift cluster, right? So with all that in mind, right? You need a way. So like after a while, you're gonna have a ton of operators. You're gonna have operators on top of operators on top of operators on top of operators.
Meta operators, all kinds of operators. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have operators depending on other operators. So we had the idea of the operator lifecycle manager, right? Which is, from a high level, an operator that manages operators, right? So it's kind of like a layer on top. So just from a quick overview, right? The the operator lifecycle manager manages the lifecycle of your operator, right? So you can say, hey, for my cluster, I want my operator to be pinned. For this specific cluster, I want it to be pinned to version 1.3, right? So you
Right.
can have it, and then 1.3's operator does whatever it does. If there's an upgrade to that operator, you can choose to either upgrade it or stay on that version. Um, and it's kind of like a cascading effect, right? So if you upgrade your operator to, here in this example, from 1.3 to 2.0, then your operator may upgrade other components, right? So the operator may upgrade the software, or the version of MySQL, whatever it's managing, it'll upgrade it, right? Um, so yeah, so you have operators that do some sort of automation. You have the operator lifecycle manager that automates the automation. And so we also, have the operator hub, right? So the operator hub, just kind of quick commercial here is, a way, for, it was launched by Red Hat for way
Mm-hmm.
for like, Red Hat, AWS, Google, whatever, to be able to publish their operators so that way you can consume them. The idea is in any Kubernetes cluster, right? So it's not necessarily an OpenShift specific thing, but any Kubernetes cluster can use an operator. And so the operator hub is integrated directly into the OpenShift console. So
Yep. Yeah. If you were on the channel earlier, you actually witnessed or waited on me to install OCS earlier, which happened in a matter of minutes, and that is a meta
that was with,
operator. Yeah.
yeah,
Chris Bloom.
yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I actually glad you brought up the meta operator, because like my example is gonna be that meta operator sort of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
so now we have the operator hub. So then you actually, you, the royal you, if you have an operator, you can actually publish a community operator and have OpenShift users consume that, right? So
Yeah. And maybe
I think,
tweak it and make it better. Yeah.
yeah, maybe tweak it. Yeah. So I think not to toot our own horn here, but this is a Red Hat channel. If you I think like the quickest startup idea could be like basically, oh hey, we're gonna publish our application on the operator hub, and now you're exposed to the entire Red Hat customer base.
Right. Yeah, like a certified operator in Operator Hub will get you access to every OpenShift customer. Yeah.
Every OpenShift customer ever. So, kind of just if you ever think of an idea, it's probably a good, for an operator, it's probably a good idea to put in the operator hub. So this next slide, I think, is my absolute favorite slide ever. That and this is a slide that one of our
oh yeah,
coworkers, Jafar, created.
I know what you're about
right?
to.
Yeah, you know what it's like. It's my favorite slide. Because first of all, it makes you laugh when you first see
right.
it. And then it makes you think, because you're like, oh, that does make sense, right? Because that's what you're doing with an operator.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just in summary, right? First of all, I just want to enjoy this GIF.
Yeah, the GIF is amazing.
Here. This is my favorite slide. I don't know. It's just, it'll always be my favorite slide so far.
Yeah.
So operators, right? So like you're codifying operational software lifecycle knowledge, right? So you're essentially doing what this GIF is doing, right? It's just like you're putting all your knowledge into. It's kind of the evolution of, I'm going to replace you with a small shell script, right?
Right. I mean,
now I'm going to replace you now with an operator, right? So
right.
Kind of
and you can actually write operators. I think it's called Flant. It's a way to write operators with Bash. So you can do that. And as someone mentioned in chat, you can write them with Quarkus. And, yeah, the sky's the limit. There's quite a bit of like Kopf is out there, KOPF. You can write them with Python. So yeah, like, yeah, sky's kind of the limit as far as what you want to operationalize.
Well, I'm going to check out that Bash one, because
once like,
I can do it in Bash, it's over.
Game over, right? Like I can write operators all day at that point. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but Ansible, same thing, right? Like,
yeah, with Ansible, same thing. I've been doing it with Ansible just because that's just what I didn't have to learn anything new. So exactly. Like it just fit perfectly, right? So operators, you codify operational knowledge built on Kubernetes primitives, right? So CRDs. SDK, Golang, Ansible, Helm, as Chris mentioned, sky's the limit currently, right? It pretty much, there's a SDK for anything now. It's meant for automating applications, right? So it's meant for automating deploying application stacks. But OpenShift kind of just took that and ran.
Yeah.
Right. See, the entire OpenShift 4 platform, if you haven't been paying attention, is built on operators. So even the platform itself installs itself and manages itself with operators, right? So there's something called the cluster operators, the CO and the CVO, right? The cluster version operator that manages the actual cluster itself is built on top of our operator. So we went all in. So we don't just we're just dog fooding. We didn't just tell people to do it. We're doing it ourselves, right? So,
yeah, we done did it.
we done did it, right? Like we're not just telling you, we're preaching, right? We're preaching, we're practicing what we're preaching. And then to manage operators, you manage it with OLM, right? So you don't have to, right? You can obviously install operators without
you can totally have independent operators, right? The idea behind OLM is to manage your operators for you, kind of deal.
Yeah. So like you can either manage them manually or you can manage them via OLM. So you can control versions and upgrades. So you can have actually a little bit more control over your operators that way, right? And it gives you like that catalog SaaS experience, right? Give me click, like the previous example. Let me go back a couple slides. I click a button and it gives me an XCD cluster, right? So like that's kind of like the SaaS version of that, right? So so cool. So if you want to find out more about operators, where people go, operatorhub.io, operators.io, something like that.
Operatorhub.io is a great place to start. We have a book on how to write operators. I posted that
at
the beginning of Jason Dobie's book. Yeah. So if you've seen Jason on the channel, he helped write that book with Josh Wood, who's also been on the channel before.
Josh Wood, that's right.
Yeah. Like I have it on my bookshelf right here to give you any indication of how important it is. I've actually referenced that book several times and just trying to figure out how should I do thing X.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because sometimes you're like, well, what's the best practice here? It's kind of good to reference something, right? To see, make sure you're on the right path. Because people always want to see if they're on the right path at least, right? They're not.
Yeah, like people want to make sure they're not spinning their wheels and wasting their time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, people want to innovate, but they don't want to be too crazy, right? It's like
they want it to be maintainable. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. GitOps and operators, right? So it's like I always like to make that analogy. It's like peanut butter and chocolate, right? So like two things that you don't think should go together, but actually work together pretty well. And so really, like I said before, there's just like so many automation tools, right? So where automation's like everywhere. Automation's everywhere. If you on the CNCF diagram, if you see that poster of the landscape,
hang on, I had it earlier.
Everyone's trying to.
No. I printed it out for my interview with Ashesh.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
If you've seen this before, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. See, it seems like everyone's trying to sell you some sort of automation, right? So there's automations hitting you in the face everywhere. I when I was first kind of dealing with GitOps, exploring this buzzword, right? I kind of just broke it down. It's like, well, what are, like, where does it all fit? Like, what are operators really, right? So like, let's just break it down, right? So an operator is nothing but a CRD, right? So the custom resources is saved in YAML, right? You submit a YAML to Kubernetes cluster, right? The automation is triggered by the YAML, right? So by the CR, right? I have an operator that the pods are managed by the operator, right? So even if you scale the deployment, my operator will go, no, I control that scale, right? So all the automation is triggered by the YAML. And like I said, right, changes are triggered by changing the YAML. Other changes are reconciled, right? So like if you make a change outside the operator will reconcile that, say, no, you need to change everything with me. So like that's kind of like some of the issues I had with OpenShift 4 coming from 3 to 4. It's like, well, I modified the deployment. Why did it do this? It's like, no, everything's an operator. Don't
Right. Yeah.
don't modify the
don't.
deployment. Modify the
The
operator
deployment is actually
configuration.
an artifact of the operator, right? Like that's how you
Yeah,
should look at
exactly.
it.
Yeah, it's a hierarchically. It's you're going. You have to go above, right?
Yep.
What one of the cool things I didn't mention in the other slides, but with operators you can easily replicate. If you have the same CR, once you install the operator, you can easily replicate that to many clusters. So you can kind of like rubber stamp these things to different clusters, right? So so then how does that fit into GitOps? So what's GitOps? So like manifests are saved in Git in a YAML,
Correct.
right? So like we do everything YAML or JSON, but I'm a YAML guy.
Yeah.
So the automation and the sync, the automation, the sync tools read the manifests, which is the YAML. Changes are made by changing the YAML and PRing the YAML, right? So as you see, like there's a lot of similarities between how you manage an operator and how you would manage GitOps, right? So so you interface with the operator framework, or just like the operators in general via YAML, right? So it's just YAML at the end of the day, right? So
it's all YAML.
Yeah,
YAML
so
all the way
it's all
down, as they
YAMLs.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's YAML all the way down. Yeah, exactly. So if your operators is just a bunch of YAML, right? I think that fits perfectly in with GitOps because you're just storing that YAML, right? And so so the question is not if it operators fit into GitOps workflow, because it does, because it's just YAML, right? But where's the point of demarcation, right? So that's the thing, right? So should you save all the manifests that your operator creates? Like, should you save the deployment? Should you save the secret? Should you save, or should you let the operator handle that, right? And I think that's the most important thing, is like, not if operators and GitOps works together, because they do, is like, where is your point of demarcation, right? So operators are YAML driven, and the YAML for the operator should live in Git, right? And I think that's where the point of demarcation is this YAML, right? So you have a YAML for the operator that it's going to live in Git, and you pass that over to the operator, and then you let the operator do whatever it needs to do with that YAML. Whether there's a lot of ideas around, okay, like when you deploy a Kubernetes cluster, the first thing you do is you export all your YAML, you put it in Git, and that's how you manage your cluster. If you're using OpenShift or an operator-driven cluster, that changes, right? Because you're not going to export every single YAML file, right? Every single configuration. You're not going to, like you said, Chris, the deployment is now an artifact of the operator. So you're not going to save the deployment. You're going to save the artifact. You're going to save the operator configuration. And that's where
higher level thing.
The higher level thing, right? So it's the point of demarcation. So I had a long time ago, right, at #last job, right? At last job,
that was a long
we
time
had
ago
kind
for
of
you.
similar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm reaching back, right?
Yeah.
Reaching way back. We had kind of a workflow, kind of like a similar automation where, and I think my ex-boss described it pretty well, and I think it fits here, is like you have a pipe, right? You have the main line, and you have where the water comes out of the faucet, right? So you can either have this turned on and this turned off, or this turned off and this like you need to you control the flow at a different point, right? So if you're going to turn on the water, you have to leave this open. If you're going to turn on the water where you are, you have to leave this open. Or if you're going to turn on the water here, you need to leave this open. So it's depends where you want to control the water, right? The water flow. So I hope that analogy came out correctly. If my ex-boss,
it didn't come out in a way that made me cringe, so that worked.
Okay, that's right. Well, my Xbox is watching. I apologize if I butchered that, but it's it's really where the point of demarcation is the point I want to get across, is where
Right.
you want to, have that demarcation, right?
So Frank asked a question. I think it's
sure, yeah,
a good time to stop and ask it to you. Must a developer specify each used CRD version, like group version kind, of the created objects? Whoa. Oh, it just moved down. To decide on which Kubernetes version the operator can run on, or how is the supported cluster version managed? So that's a very good question.
Oh, I see
that
what you're
GVK
saying.
matters, right? Like,
yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, for the cluster, definitely it matters, right?
Yes.
Especially if they're doing that that alpha thing.
Right, like if you're using, like, what is it, 1.15, you've got an alpha CRD. If you're using 1.16 version of Kubernetes, you have the GA version of the CRDs, or CRs. So you can yeah, like that matters, right? Like if you're on an older version of Kubernetes, you kind of have to be careful with that, right? So that's where, like, I like to use a little bit of Ansible to figure that part out, right? Like, hey, tell me what version I'm on. Okay, now deploy the operator kind of deal.
Yeah, well, and actually this is this is kind of you brought up an interesting use case, Chris. And by the way, thank you for asking that question, because it kind of percolates, right? Kind of makes you think, right? Where you can have, with a combination of GitOps practices, obviously, but to customize, right? So where you can have like the templating customized, you have the Ansible operator. You can actually have like a generic version of your template deployed to many versions of your clusters. Now, I think we only support n-1, and just like in general, like just like in the community, Kubernetes is n-1, right? N or n-2.
I think it's n-2.
I forget. I think it's n-2. You're right. Now that I think about it, I think
because it's the current version.
So if you're running,
yeah.
If you're running 1.15, you should probably upgrade. So that's all I'm saying. But yeah, you could have multiple versions of Kubernetes, and you do need to look out for that CRD version, right? Like what they call the GSV, right? Or the what do they call it?
The group version kind.
Yeah, group version
GVK,
kind.
yeah.
So ZVK. There we go. So yeah, so you could have, using templating, using customize, and using Ansible, you can kind of, like you said, figure out, okay, what cluster version am I on? I'm going to start patching some of these, so that way, like Ingress just graduated to V1, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're using beta Ingress, you're going to get a lot of warnings right now. I don't know if you guys realize that. You get a lot of warnings once you deploy. You're like, oh, this graduated to V1. So good question.
Yeah, no, great question. Thank you, Frank, for asking it.
Cool. Thank you. So one more, this is the last slide, right? And then we'll go into kind of just a little hacking on the command line here.
Right.
Other things to consider, right? So since OpenShift is built on operators, there's just like other things now you need to consider, right? So like I was saying before, cluster operators and the CVO, right? So you have to kind of think about where where is that stored, and where is that demarcation line, right? So some of that's not clear to me just yet, right? So by the way, a lot of this stuff on this list is not clear to me yet, right? So we're not going to talk about this. This will be at a later show once I get a chance to. Yeah. So this is kind of like a teaser, right? Machine config operators, right? So if you've worked with OpenShift, you know that we have a machine config and machine config operators, right? So, and machine sets, right? So like we have a Red Hat Core OS machine set. Windows containers is coming, by the way. If you guys don't know, not only am I the GitOps guy on our team, I am also the Windows containers guy. So maybe I'll do like a joint show about Windows containers and GitOps, and that's going to be kind of cool.
That GA I hear?
Yeah.
No.
It'll GA next week. We're targeting next week or the week after. I think it's the week after.
I forget, but JP Dade, your thing is coming. No. And it's coming way sooner than you think.
It's coming soon. Machine configs, right? So machine configs, like for those who don't know, is when OpenShift boots up a node, all its configuration is actually stored in etcd, and OpenShift applies those via machine configs. As you know, machine configs, you can have like hundreds of them. So we have something called a machine config pool, which is a aggregate of all those machine configs. Like, where are those stored, right? Do you GitOps those? There's just so much to consider in an operator world where that demarcation is. It kind of gets a little hairy. It kind of gets a little, there's a Venn diagrammy, hyper-dimensional Venn diagram, right? Is what I would like to say. So yeah, so like I promised, that was my last slide. It's any questions in the chat that we can get to before I start hacking away here?
I kind of answered this, but Frank also asked, so the operator framework cannot check if a special operator version can run on the Kubernetes cluster. We have to keep the operator always up to date to run on old as well as new clusters. So this is an interesting question. Again, Frank, thank you for it.
That is a question, yeah.
What I do is if I'm running an operator, I want to know what version of Kubernetes I'm on, so I know which kind of CRD or CR to call, which version of it. So I always have a little script that just says, or a little playbook essentially, that asks that question and registers that for me. So I know to deploy to version A, B, or C, right? Like, because I know there's only a handful of API versions I'm going to be able to deploy to at any given point in my environment. Right now it's one. So if I'm writing that operator, I'm going to write some logic to do like a quick OC or a quick, call in with Ansible to grab that version of Kubernetes so that I know which API to use, and then I can have those as variables in my operator later on.
What's really cool about the Operator SDK is that the downward API is available to you, so you can just start querying the Kubernetes API really, really easily. I do it probably not in depth as you can do it, but there's like this whole you got once you get the SDK downloaded and loaded into your cluster, you have access to the Kubernetes API, so you can do a lot of fancy things. And I think a lot of it depends on your CI/CD process, right? One of the things I've been threatening to do is talk about the CI/CD practices on this, because GitOps, you can't have GitOps without CI/CD, right? And I've kind of been pushing that topic off a little bit.
Understandably, because
understandably, yeah,
it's a lot of nuance to it, right? Like, you can't just.
There's a lot of nuance to it. Yeah,
you can't just go out there and have, I think, one episode is going to be like an episode and a half, maybe two, right? Like, before you go down.
It's going to be like, I think it's going to be like a series, right? Like,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So, JP Dade said, talking about Set Enforce. So yes, I'm wearing a Set Enforce 1 t-shirt, right? Because I am a.
You want me to go get mine?
Admin. So yeah, we should have coordinated our t-shirts.
I know, right? You should have told me what you were wearing.
Yeah. Because as an admin, right, like I'm a SC Linux guy. What's really one of my favorite things about OpenShift that I don't think we talk about enough. We kind of blanket security over it, but really, Dan Walsh, right?
Yes, absolutely loves us.
Because we have the SC Linux. One of my favorite things about OpenShift is that I don't have to think about SC Linux, right? That is abstracted away from me. It does all the SC Linux stuff for me. Whereas in the past, as an admin, I actually had to know a lot of SC Linux. I don't know if any of you took the RHCE tests, version 5, version 6. There's a lot of SC Linux stuff on there. And it's like, yeah, that's the exact face I made.
Exactly.
Just because not that it's hard, it's just like something else you need to think about, and just another nuance, right? Where now that is abstracted from you in OpenShift. And I think that's like one of my favorite things about OpenShift that we don't talk about enough, I don't think, is that OpenShift abstracts the need for you to know SC Linux. So your developer doesn't need to even worry about it. You don't even need to worry about it SC Linux when you're running OpenShift. So it's kind of abstracted for me. So that's kind of that's pretty cool. So stop disabling SCLinux.com.
Absolutely.
We do not.
You're gonna make Dan Walsh cry, and no one likes to hear him cry.
No one likes to hear Dan Walsh cry. Cries in Boston, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you hear something from the northeast direction, it's Dan Walsh crying about
Yeah.
740.
Yeah. So let me make this a little bigger. So I have a cluster here. kubectl. This is a fresh cluster. Get nodes. Is it still up? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite things is a sort by. I do sort by workers, but I don't know why it becomes last in the list. But anyway, so I have 3 masters, 3 workers. I just installed this morning. So what I'm going to do is let's first install Argo. So by the way, I haven't tested this on 4.6 yet.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So like this might not work. So I apologize. It's been one of those weeks where it's just been crazy back-to-back meetings, Chris. I don't know. I know you know, so I don't have to complain to you.
Right.
It's just back-to-back stuff. I haven't been able to test this on 4.6. If it works on 4.5, so if it doesn't work, I apologize. So we'll debug on the fly here. So let's install Argo first. One of the things that the Canadians, right, the GitOps Canadians at Red Hat say that
our wonderful Red Hat Canadian friends. Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of the new GitOps language is shell, because you just basically do.
Let's think about this for a second.
You do an until, right? You do an until apply, and it won't return until it's successful. I mean,
right. But remember,
makes sense to me, right?
A lot of Kubernetes, like the management of it, the installation of it, all that fun stuff was written in Bash at the beginning, right? So it's like we're just redoing that cycle. So, the GitOps maturity will start showing here as soon as, more languages start getting involved.
Yeah. So let's see here. Come on. Go.
All right. You can
Luckily, I have that until.
Unchanged, configured, unchanged, no matches for okay, so I was waiting for it to come up. There we go. All right.
Yeah, which is what the until is. So let's do this. Watch OC get pods.
You can spell. I believe in you.
All right, so that'll fire.
It's running.
Fire up. That's running. Cool. So and I'm going to deploy this repo. It takes a while for this repo to deploy, so I'll deploy it first and then I'll talk about what's going on here. Go baby, no whammies.
Great, yeah.
All right, cool. Let's
do home run swing. Good job, buddy.
All right, swing. All right, so let's do Octotree. By the way, someone on the channel.
Finally.
Octotree. By the way, it's. You know what? It's been a lifesaver, to be honest with you.
Yes.
So thank you. I don't know who.
Yes. It was me and Hernandez.
There we go. Yeah.
Hernandez was like, Christian, you need Octotree. And I was like, Christian, it's really easy. Go to octotree.io, sign up, done.
So I don't have to keep clicking around, right? So I can see here. So I have, so as you know, Argo CD uses a concept of applications. And so if I go over here, if I look at, I'm going to be installing the EFK stack, right? So
nice.
The EFK stack is log aggregator, and it's actually, Elasticsearch,
Fluentd, Kibana. Yeah.
EFK, right?
EFK.
And as like you said, it's a meta operator. So so it's one of those, like, you need like 3 operators.
Right, like you got to install all 3 of those programs, connect them together. That's what a meta operator is for.
So I have this EFK application that basically says, this is the Argo CD application. It says, go to the manifest EFK install. So let's go here, manifest EFK install.
Look at you using the F out of that Octotree.
I love this Octotree. Can I go directly to the directory? Like, can I click?
I think if you click the directory name.
I haven't quite figured that out.
Currently
That'd be
not.
cool if I could go to the directory, but
yeah. But you could click something inside it and then go up a level, which is what you did. So
yeah. That's I always do it that way. So by the way, if you guys know, please put it in chat. So I have here the the cluster logging operator, right? I have this instance, which is basically, it says I'm going to use a storage cache GPT-2. So it says to use base, right? So in this base directory, I have all the operator configurations that I need, right? So in order to get an operator up and running, you need an operator group, a subscription, and the actual CR for the operator, right? So, and there's this implicit namespace, right? So like you need it in a namespace. So I didn't mention it because you need a namespace for everything nowadays, right? So I have, OpenShift logging, right? Which is the namespace I want to create. I need another namespace for the actual operator, to live there. But the actual magic happens is first in the operator group, right? So I need an Elasticsearch operator group. So that's that here, right? So I say, all right, so I'm going to create operator group for Elasticsearch. And I need an operator group there's another one, for the cluster logging, right? So it basically says, for this operator, I want to target this namespace. And then once I have that, then I need to subscribe to the operator, right? So then I have a subscription, right? So a subscription just says, I want to subscribe to this particular version of the operator, right? Because your operator may have different versions. So you need to subscribe,
which goes
to a
back to
specific
the
version.
GVK thing, right? Like version 3.1
Correct.
can handle older clusters, 3.2 can handle current clusters, 3.3 can be ready for the next release of cluster, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly right. So then you have, then that could be, so your channel, that could be something you either do it Ansible, or if you do it in Customize, you can do it, wherever, right? But that's basically where you say, I want to subscribe to this particular version, right? Oh yeah, I will share my repo link.
Yes, I was trying to look it up, but yeah, thank you for seeing that.
yeah. And so, so this gives me, so basically, as you can see here, I don't have anything specific like, let me go back to base. I don't have anything. I wish I can click on the directory. Anyways, Octo Tree people, I wish I can click on directory. So
well, we'll see if they're watching.
Yeah, see if they're watching. Okay. So we don't know, right? So yeah, so I have I don't have anything in here specific to the actual deployments. So if you notice here, everything is either an operator group, a subscription, or the namespace, right? There's nothing defining like, oh hey, I'm saving my deployments and my deployment configs, or my stateful sets, or my storage, or yada yada yada, right? All I'm saving is the operator manifest, and then I'm gonna let the operator do its thing, right? So
nice. This is a good thing. I like that.
Yeah. So my point of demarcation is the operator, right? In OperatorHub, I'm going to just submit the manifest, and then the operator just does its magic. So
nice.
Hopefully, we'll see.
So I just found a cool feature in Octotree, not to hype it up anymore, but it actually has dark mode.
Yeah,
it has dark mode for all of GitHub as a feature.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was actually looking at that. I was looking at, because I like it so much that I was just thinking about just buying one of their tiers.
Yeah. I have 15 days remaining, and this is definitely probably going to be an expense that I do.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like cheap. It's like $30 a year or something like that. So anytime I like something, I always buy. Or
definitely, you got to support
Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt. I always donate to Let's Encrypt just because I just use the crap out of that.
Yeah, I donate to EFF every month. So yeah,
So yeah.
How do I? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Now I want to register.
Then now I'm gonna go into Argo. So if this works, this is the first time. If it works, this is the first time I see it work. So.
That's scary. I don't know what that is.
Well, I haven't had time to test it, but it should work. You know.
It should, yes.
Yeah. So I got the EFK. Well, it's out of sync. Let me try to sync it. It's just prudent. Let's just manually sync it. Another operation is in progress. Oh, I probably have to cancel that. Let's go back. Yeah, let's terminate this.
JP Data is not so much an expense account. It's just that if there's tools that make our job easier, we're encouraged to not give money to Red Hat. We're encouraged to get that money back from Red Hat, right?
Yeah. Let's go back here. So I might have an error here. It's missing. Okay. Yeah, this is so by the way, and this is something I've been trying to play with. If you saw here, this is something I might talk about in further episodes. I have a sync waves, right? Because there's like certain things that need to happen in certain orders in order for something to work. That's just life, right? It just life in IT in general, right? You need to do A, B, C before you do D, and that's what sync waves are and triggers and things like that. And I've been playing around with that. But looks like, let me just delete this resource here, and let's see if it'll force.
I'm joking. Remember back in the old days, yeah, I'm just going to delete this server. People would freak out, like, no, you don't know what that's connected to.
Yeah, I have yeah, there's like funny stories out there where it's like someone unplugged an Xbox and the website went down. It's like, what?
Right, yeah.
You're like, you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got some pretty funny stories from the military days. People accidentally unplugging things or wiring things incorrectly, potentially. Yeah. Wow, it actually lets you pick fonts and everything. Wow, that's cool. Sorry, I'm still talking about
yeah, just playing with Octo. Yeah. Octotree here. Yeah. Yeah, this is seriously messed up here. This is why I probably should have tested it. Yeah, I'm trying to sync the individual. It might be because. Do I have the right storage?
Oh boy. Are you just spinny or SSDE? Which is your cluster seeing them?
Well, I'm on AWS, so
yeah,
OC
okay, never mind.
Storage class, GPT-2. Okay,
that works.
That should work. Yeah, let's sync. When I sync this guy here. Where do I see the logs here? Let's do this. Let's debug this live here. That was my commit. So let's see here. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I know what I think I did. Hold on. Just go to manifest, EFK. Okay, that's fine. GPT-2. That is Silo instance. No, I do have it. Okay. So I have this skip dry run on missing resource. Which means that.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Naughty you.
Naughty me. Oh, wait. How do I go back? Now I'm stuck.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go again. There we go.
By the way, I just bought a license to Octotree.
Yeah. I mean, we should support the things we like to use, right?
Yeah. I agree. Sync them apps. Uh-oh. Which one? Yeah, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
Which is it? Which component?
It's the actual instance of logging, right? So like I say,
course.
it's the actual CR, right?
Yeah.
For the logging component.
That matters.
That does matter, right? Everything else is good. Doesn't look like. So I would think this stops syncing. Let's terminate that. And then
Braided Silver. This is just as bad as the time his GitHub git ignore file wasn't
exactly,
current. Remember, folks, this channel is designed for all of us to learn together, right? Like we embrace failure on this channel, because if we don't fail and learn from it, like nothing's perfect in life, right? So we want to make sure we give you a very real experience, and this is going to show you how to troubleshoot problems later. We do it live. These aren't polished demos for a very good reason.
Yeah. So let's sync that. Come on,
okay, see what happens here.
Well, it's funny. Everything else is synced. Synced. I'm not a.
You've been drinking a lot of wine.
Sunked. Yeah, it's just this guy. Partial synchronization not recorded in history. Yeah, well, I know that. Stop syncing. How about that? You know what's funny? It doesn't let me, like, because I have auto sync turned on. When I stop it, it'll it kicks back on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh wait, I can do this. Okay. Yeah, see, look, it just it kicked off again. Like I don't want it to. I want to debug this, damn it.
Let me debug you.
Well, what's funny, Braided Silver.
Yeah, huh?
I was talking to her about because I've been doing a lot of Golang lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
that's encouraging.
Doing Golang, but I came from the web front. Is doing going from PHP. I went to Golang, and she's like, that's like going from being a fish to being a bird. I'm like, yeah, that's
pretty much. Yes.
I don't think anyone has ever put it quite so eloquently as that.
That's very well said. Yes.
Yeah. So let me actually. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, guys. Sorry. Because I need to see what.
Braided Silver asks, can you write in a wait somewhere, even if it does turn it back on? It's like a sleep or something.
Yeah, so that's what these sync waves are. So if I have where's shift B? Yeah. I have a sync wave, you can do it starts at -20 and goes to +20, right? So it's kind of like a it's kind of like the
a golf score
nice command, right?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Like a golf score. No, it's like the nice command, right? Yeah. So so 0 is actually the highest number I put on, because I have -5, -4. So it should just work. So let's see here. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. TMP, just to see if I can get this going. I need to figure this out. Wait, this is a problem on 4.6. Okay, so that's the problem. So then,
no matches for common cluster logging. What are they changing?
So yeah, that's exactly my question. So I guess I don't know who asked the question, but this is now that same issue is now biting me in the butt. So as Eric Jacobs says, when in doubt,
read the docs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't you the one with the fancy GCP shortcut? Didn't you tell us about that?
Yeah. I do OCP space logging.
Oh, sorry, not OCP, not GCP. Gosh.
But yeah. No, thanks for reminding me.
No problem. I use it all the time. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah. So cluster logging OpenShift IO v1. That should be fine.
Is it? Hang on. Let me see. I've got a 4.6 cluster.
wonder if I could do this. I have no idea what that error is. So let's go back to this guy here. Oh, I need the whole HTTP guy. Yeah, so it even customizes giving me
So it's
flack
the OpenShift monitoring projects.
Yeah, it doesn't even like my
Cluster
OC apply.
monitoring
So it looks like
operator.
so it looks like this doesn't work on 4.6. I should probably
I'm looking at the 4.6 stuff right now.
Well, I wonder if I
well, the namespace is OpenShift monitoring. I'm not sure if that changed from 4.5 to 4.6 though. I don't think it did.
So screw it, let's delete it and start over here.
Cluster monitoring operator. Yeah, exactly.
So this is, yeah, I need to go back and see why this isn't working.
Oh, I've got that church JP date. Hang on, buddy. I got you. So you add a search engine in Google's settings.
It's actually really cool. Yeah.
It is so cool.
I just have to type OCP. I type OCP and then I just type whatever I want.
Yeah. So like, if you put
in,
if you go to your browser's setting for search engines and you say manage them, what you basically do is you add a search engine, and let me edit this. So you give it a short code of whatever you want. OpenShift or OCP is what we use. And this is the string that I actually use in that field. So that way, every version that gets updated, you just change the number and you got the latest docs that you're searching anytime you type OCP. So add it as a special search engine. It will save you tons of time, but make sure that the version number is the version number of the cluster you're using right now.
Yes. Yeah. And that's that last little bit right there, 4.6. So I always, so every release, I just change it. So I think I got a race condition here. Yeah, I need to figure this out here.
Does anybody have any GitOps questions for us that are not related to what's on the screen, or any OpenShift question for that matter?
Any OpenShift question for that matter. That's right. Yeah, I think I royally messed this up. Let's see here. It's OC get applications. OC delete application. So at least give me.
It's taking a long time to delete.
I think I'm running into. Yeah. Well, I think I'm getting into finalizer issues.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so this is this is something that also I think I may switch to one of the Red Hat Canadians uses a job to actually trigger the EFK deployment instead of actually giving the CR.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
that might be why
a job. Yeah. He uses
Sorry,
a
go ahead.
job in order to make sure the CRD is in place before he deploys
Order of operations
the
thing.
actual
Yeah.
instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he uses a job, which is nothing more than a shell script, which is why we
exactly.
which is why we why we always joke that Bash is the new GitOps language. That basically just loops and makes sure once the CR is available, then he continues on with the deployment here. But this isn't deleting. I wonder why. I probably have storage issues, is what I'm thinking, because if I do OC get PV, there's no persistent volumes. OC get PVC, there's no persistent volume claims either. And it needs storage here.
Oh boy. Family song. Hang on a second.
Yeah, no worries. There is a way. There's like a wait equals no.
Sorry, something went wrong.
Oh, there's Alexa. Hey, Alexa.
Something went wrong, but everything worked just fine.
Oh, okay.
That's weird. JP Date says that string isn't working for him. That's weird. So you have to add it as a new search engine, by the way. And I apologize for the dog.
Yeah, I got some dangling issues here. I think I may also have RBAC issues. Let's go over here. Let's sync this guy here. Yeah, the reason I think I have RBAC issues is because when I go here and I delete like this guy here, it says I cannot delete resource as a user that I am. So I may have RBAC issues as well. Yeah. So will this even delete? We don't know.
Fun.
Yeah, it's fun. OC get events Argo CD. Let's go here.
Carlos Santana from our colleague on the IBM side. We have been trying to create a Tecton pipeline with Argo CD for operator and OLM bundles catalogs. Interesting.
I hit a blocker running OPM. Yeah, so like OPM. So for those of you who don't know, OPM is a way to bundle your operators, right? Because you have an operator. So what an operator, when you're building an OLM into OLM, you need to build like all the metadata, right? So like when someone subscribes to version 1 of my operator, it goes out and downloads or gets this particular tag of this particular image, right? So and you can bundle different versions, right? So you could have one bundle with different versions, and depending on what you subscribe to, you get a different version of the image, right? So that's what the question is talking about right now, about the OPM bundle in Tecton. So I guess what you're doing is, so we need to see if folks push code. Okay, so I guess Mr. Santana here, big fan of your music, by the way. I bet he never hears that joke.
No.
Never. It tries to automate. So when you push the code like I guess compiles, and you create the operator, and then you're just trying to automate adding that bundle into the new bundle into the operator. I guess, is that what you're doing? Okay, Argo CD.
So it's like you need a whole versioning system to then plug into the catalog. Yeah.
cluster. Oops.
Ooh, Carlos, I need to hook you up with some of my friends. Send me an email, buddy.
Yeah.
I can get some people that are real smart on that for you.
And then you want SSO. And you want dash dash insecure. And you want this guy. I'm trying to use the Argo for my last ditch effort. I'm using the Argo CLI.
Okay.
To see.
I
if
have
can
a hard
sync
stop
the
in
Argo
20
CLI.
minutes. That's all.
Oh, no worries. I know we're even over time now.
Nah, it's fine. People like your show, so that's okay.
Let's do. Yeah. Unlike Langdon show. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I hope
Shots
he's
fired.
Watching, so just shots fired.
Dang.
Okay, there we go. I authenticated here.
Sun's not even set yet. Dang.
Yeah. The sun is not even set yet. It's the wine. App list. Okay.
So Braided Silver asks, is this a fresh cluster? If not, did you stop any other running operators to make sure nothing was conflicting?
Oh yeah, it was a fresh cluster. I could do. By the way, you can do OC get CO, and you get the cluster operators. And it tells you the status. So I've always, this is such a programmer or not even a programmer, engineer mindset. You see false, but false means good in this case. For
Nice.
I don't,
Super
I don't
helpful.
know.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, like in my mind, that this seems bad, but the degraded status is false. So, maybe they should put like, I mean, regular people, non-engineers, would want you to see no there instead of false. But
well, yeah, no.
Degraded, no, right? So like that would make more sense to me. But anyways, none of these operators are degraded.
We're not here to make sense of things.
Yeah, no. We're just here. Progressing goes false. That means there's no operators progressing, and available equals true. So, yeah. So let's do Argo CD. Oops. Argo CD app get, and then so here tells me. Yeah, so it tells me this. So there's some issue with order of operation. Looks like it doesn't want to delete it for whatever reason. Yeah, for whatever reason, it doesn't want to delete it. And I believe we'll see project OpenShift. Oops. Let's look at the actual OpenShift logging. OC get event, OC get pods. Let's see here. Nothing. Okay, good. OC get events. Nothing. Well, that sucks.
Well, at least you're honest.
I wanted to see something. Defaults. Let's do OC delete. Prod. I'm just gonna drop the hammer for my last.
There you go.
Here.
Kaboom.
Let's see what happens. OC projects. Grep logging. It's not there. Okay. Come on, finalizers. Okay, so that's missing. Let's delete the operator group. Probably don't want to do that. I'll really mess up my cluster. So subscriptions. Let's go OC get Subscription.
What is your GitHub username? Christian H. 814.
Christian H814. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Alpha. Oh, I just realized my error. Error in my ways. So, yeah. So I subscribed to the 4.5 channel instead of the 4.6 channel. That's why I may be having trouble. So okay. So let me back up and I'll explain what's happening, right? Which we probably won't see this work within the next couple minutes that we have left here.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening, so when you subscribe to a channel and it's an older channel,
mm-hmm.
and there's a newer version, and so like all these things, so like I had like this perfect storm that just happened, and you have your and actually Andrew Pitt, he warned me about this too, so I'm just gonna kind of like Langdon warned me about the GitHub thing. He warned me about this error coming up here. So let's take a look here. Where is it? It's in one of these. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So like you can have your operator automatically upgrade,
mm-hmm.
right? So you can have your there we go, install approval equals automatic, right? So what ends up happening is that what ends up happening is that I install 4.5, I have upgrades set to automatic, so then it once it fully installs, then it upgrades itself to the latest version, right? So
right.
What's happening here, and I messed this up so bad that it's not gonna reconcile, right? Like I have to like delete everything and start over.
Nice.
Is what ended up happening is that I installed 4.5. It's all okay. I'll install 4.5. Oh, you want? By the way, there's 4.6 available, so I'm going to upgrade you to 4.6. So it was waiting that time, that upgrade time, right? So it went ahead and installed the entire operator,
right,
and then tried to upgrade itself. And so I ended up with the race condition. So anyway,
beautiful.
So that sucked. So, but
at least we know why.
There you go. Well, at least I know why, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to tweet out what broke after the fact.
That's happened before, actually.
Yeah,
I've
before.
actually tweeted that out.
Now we don't have to. It's in the recording.
Now it's in the recording. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So, cool.
Yeah. Maybe next time you just do a quick run through with it working.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and we touch the next subject.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So cool.
Awesome.
So yeah.
No, great show. There's an SOP for this, I'm almost certain. Yeah, Carlos Santana, we all need to talk, I feel like, with what you're trying to do. So I nudged Scott McCarty and Dan in the GitHub issue you opened. So we'll get that figured out. Anything else, Christian? Other than thank you, audience. We appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. I guess you can tweet at me. You can tweet at Christian H814, or find me on GitHub. It's the same name. I use the same name across everything. So, yeah.
Carlos Santana wants to know if you have any experience with the Argo rollouts.
Argo rollouts is something I wanna cover in future episodes, because I think it'll be helpful.
Yeah, totally.
Too. Yeah. So
awesome.
Cool.
Well, good talking to you. I hope you all stay safe out there, and we will catch you next time.
Yep, definitely. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.